Do you think the Kraken is just a legend of the seas? What if I told you that it's not just an old story, but a real threat still lurking in the depths, waiting for the right moment to surface? A creature so colossal, it can sink entire ships and disappear without a trace, as if it had never existed. And the most terrifying part, it might be closer than you think. Get ready to uncover the darkest secrets of this mythical beast. Every second of this video will take you on a journey of terror and mystery. But before we begin, if you have the courage to face the unknown, leave a like and subscribe now, because by the end, you'll be asking yourself, is the Kraken really just a legend, or is it still waiting to devour us?
It was a moonless night. The sky, bare and gloomy, was reflected in the Black Sea, as deep as the abyss. The stars, like distant eyes, silently watched an event that no one else would witness. In that moment, in the cold and treacherous waters, an ancient creature was awakening. A colossal shadow that made the winds flicker and the hearts of sailors stop. The Kraken. The waves, once gentle, now rose with force, as if the sea itself felt the weight of the immense presence approaching. The sound of something gigantic moving in the depths made the air tremble, and the boats, fragile as toys, rocked with the fury of the storm that appeared out of nowhere. From the bottom of the ocean, the Kraken awoke from its long slumber, its tentacles extending like the arms of a forgotten god. The sound of the raging sea was interrupted only by the cracking of breaking wood, the screams of lost sailors, and the dark laughter that seemed to echo from the depths of time. The terror was not just from the creatures sinking into the waters, but from the very idea that something so ancient, so powerful, could break free from the chains of myth and become flesh once again. The Kraken was not just a legend. It was the very manifestation of fear, of untamable nature, and of primordial chaos. Its tentacles, longer than any ship, emerged from the depths with an almost poetic violence, destroying everything in their path. The monster, a blend of legend and nightmare, was never fully understood, yet its story tormented the souls of northern sailors for centuries. They spoke of a being that not only destroyed, but consumed, erasing all evidence of its passing, leaving the sea emptier with each attack. When its tentacles rose from the abyss, it was as if the ocean itself wept, trembling with a primordial roar, as if the earth was bidding farewell to something that could never be recovered. Entire ships were dragged to the depths, the sails torn apart and the wood crushed like children's toys. Where life once existed, only the echo of emptiness remained, the sea becoming a desolate expanse where even the wind dared not blow. They say the Kraken not only devoured ships, but also the very memory of those who fell into its grasp. Time seemed to distort, and those who survived an encounter with the creature never returned the same. Its eyes, if one could speak of eyes for such a being, were those of a merciless beast, reflecting in their depths the very madness of the world. Fear was the only constant among the northern sailors, and the name of the Kraken, whispered to the wind, was the last breath before oblivion. Its power was not just in physical strength, but in the ability to disintegrate the very essence of memory and history. There were no witnesses left alive to tell the tale, and thus, the monster continued to be a shadow in the minds of sailors, an eternal nightmare that renewed itself with each generation. The origin of the Kraken, like all great legends, is shrouded in mystery. Some said it had been created by vengeful gods, an untamable force to protect the secrets of the ocean. The gods, with their unfathomable wills, would have forged the creature in the depths, a monstrous guardian to prevent mortals from uncovering the mysteries that the sea hid, as if the ocean itself were an enigma that only the eternal beings could understand. The Kraken would then be a punishment disguised as a creature, a manifestation of divine wrath meant to keep humans away from the unknown. Others, more pragmatic, believed it was a beast that evolved in the abyssal depths, a natural predator that over millennia became something more than just an animal. Some said that the creature's insatiable hunger and desire for power had shaped it, making it almost immortal. Growing in an environment without limits, the Kraken would have adapted to each cataclysm, surviving every attempt at destruction, becoming a shadow in the very fabric of reality. The nature of the Kraken would thus be that of absolute survival, the perfect predator in a world of tides and infinite darkness. Those who claim to have seen the creature, though few dared to speak, described something indescribable. A monster so large that the horizon seemed only to be its shadow, as if the very sea had bent to give passage to something that should not exist. Its tentacles, endless and thick as mountains, reached into the sky, enveloping entire ships with devastating force. The creature's eyes, if they could be called eyes, were black holes, abysses that reflected the vastness of the unknown, and the presence of its being made the air thick, as if life itself were being erased around it. In any case, the Kraken was not just a creature. It was an omen, an embodied legend, a force that transcended human explanations, a reflection of what men fear: the unknown, the uncontrollable, and the eternal. The first time the sailors sighted the Kraken was during a voyage along the coast of Norway, when the water began to stir in a strange way. The sea, normally calm and silent, seemed to tremble under some invisible force. The waves, once gentle, became erratic, leaping and curling with unsettling violence, as if the water itself were rebelling. The captain of a small ship, his eyes glazed with fear, looked toward the horizon and shouted, his voice trembling with terror, "The sea! It has opened!" Before anyone could react, a colossal shadow emerged from the depths with an indescribable force. The creature, monstrous and inhuman, rose from the waters with terrifying violence, as if the ocean itself were trying to expel what had been hiding there. The Kraken, with its gigantic tentacles as dark as the abyss, lifted a wave so high it covered the very sky, obscuring everything around. It was as if the entire world had become a massive wall of water, endless, with no escape. The ship's sails tore with the strong wind, while the wood, fragile in the face of the creature's immense power, splintered as though made of paper. The sound of the waves crashing, the wind howling, and the desperate screams of the sailors mixed with the deafening noise of the tentacles stretching, enveloping the ship with fatal precision. In a matter of seconds, the small boat was dragged to the bottom of the sea, like a toy being swallowed by an unrelenting storm. The sailors fought, but it was useless. The Kraken surrounded them with its giant claws, pulling them into the dark and unfathomable waters. The sound of their screams disappeared into the vastness, swallowed by the murky, lifeless waters, as if they had never existed. The sea, now calm and empty, left no trace of the terror that had just occurred, and the ship, once mighty, had become only a lost memory in the abyssal depths. And so, with the first appearance of the Kraken, the myth took form, and the sailors began to whisper the creature's name with reverence and fear. They knew the monster was not just a legend, it was real, and the sea, with its vast and mysterious depths, would continue to hide its secrets. For centuries, the creature was feared and studied. The Kraken, immortal in legends and unsustainable in explanations, became an enigma that defied human understanding. Theories emerged, some bolder than others, attempting to decipher what, after all, moved that monster from the depths. Some claimed that the Kraken fed on everything that crossed its path, devouring ships, men, and even the very essence of the seas. For them, it was nothing more than an insatiable beast, a force of nature that could not be tamed, whose hunger was as vast as the ocean it inhabited. Others, however, put forward more sinister hypotheses, suggesting that the Kraken had a greater purpose, an obscure reason for its existence. Some believed that it did not merely destroy, but that it protected something, an artifact, a secret lost in the depths of the ocean, guarded for millennia. Those who dared to follow this path, attempting to uncover what was hidden beneath the cold and treacherous waters, never returned. The reports that reached the ports spoke of sailors disappearing without a trace, and entire ships simply vanishing, as if swallowed by an endless abyss. At that point, the Kraken was no longer just a legend. It had become the guardian of something beyond human comprehension, the protector of a secret so ancient and powerful that humanity was never meant to know. The monster did not move merely by instinct, but by an invisible force, as if it had been designated to keep away those who dared challenge the forbidden depths. It did not attack just out of hunger, but to preserve a mystery kept by the waters. The Kraken, therefore, was not just a creature of the sea. It was the guardian of something that transcended the limits of human understanding. Something so deep and terrible that, if discovered, could forever alter the course of history. And so, the monster continued to roam the dark waters, its presence a constant reminder that there are secrets that must never be uncovered, and that some mysteries are best left in peace, where man cannot reach. But the Kraken was not limited to sporadic attacks. Its presence in the sea was more than just a devastating force. It also manifested in more subtle ways, almost imperceptible, but equally terrifying. Some accounts speak of encounters in which sailors, while navigating through calm waters, felt a distant presence, something watching them from the depths with invisible eyes, but that seemed to be there, lurking. The sea became still, so still it seemed dead, as if the ocean itself were in suspense, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The wind fell silent, and for a brief moment, the entire world seemed to stop. There was no sound, no movement, as if even nature feared what was about to happen. The horizon turned strange and lifeless, and a silent unease took hold of the crew. It was as if the Kraken, with its deadly intelligence, was preparing, analyzing, choosing its victims with macabre precision. It did not attack by chance, but with a cold and calculated strategy, as if it knew exactly who had the audacity to challenge the waters it ruled. And then, without warning, the ships began to sink. There were no signs of storms, no strong winds or violent waves. The sea continued to appear serene, but suddenly the vessels would tilt, the wood would crack, and the water would begin to swallow everything. The sailors, stunned, tried to understand what was happening. But the answer was clear. The Kraken was there, acting in the shadows. Its tentacles, invisible to the eye, wrapped around the ships with relentless force, destroying them with precision. The creature chose its victims with the coldness of a predator. It did not attack out of anger or hunger, but out of a deeper, more incomprehensible desire. Each shipwreck, each sinking, was a message, a mark of its enigmatic and relentless existence. The Kraken did not need a clear reason to attack. It was the very agent of chaos, driven by a force that defied human reason. And so, it continued its hunt, invisible in the calm waters, until yet another victim succumbed to the depths it called home. In the following centuries, stories about the Kraken became increasingly fantastical, gaining layers of mysticism and exaggeration. The sailors, fearful and awestruck by the legend, began telling increasingly incredible tales, blending reality with the far reaches of imagination. One sailor, who claimed to have witnessed a direct encounter, stated that during a moonlit night, the Kraken appeared as an impassable shadow, a presence so colossal that it obscured the very stars. The creature emerged from the waters with a macabre grace, as if dancing in a dark ballet, its gigantic silhouette outlined against the moonlit sky. Its tentacles, enormous and serpentine, seemed like an entire city of sea monsters, each moving with the fluidity of a serpent, sliding and twisting through the air with terrifying elegance. But its strength was something from another world. The movement of a single tentacle caused tremors that seemed to shake the very earth, as if the Kraken had the power to alter the balance of the universe around it. The sailors aboard, paralyzed by terror, began to describe something that went beyond the simple fear of the creature. The sensation that overtook them was not just one of dread, but something much deeper and inexplicable. The fear did not come only from the presence of the monster, but from the mystery surrounding its existence. It was as if the Kraken was the personification of everything humanity could not comprehend, a primordial force, as ancient as the ocean itself, a being that transcended the limits of reason. The creature represented the abyss of mysteries that should never be uncovered. and this realization was more terrifying than any physical attack. The indescribable sensation was that, when facing the Kraken, the sailors were not merely standing before a sea monster, but a cosmic riddle, something beyond the human, something that defied all logic and understanding. The Kraken was not just a threat, it was the guardian of a truth that no human being should ever know. And as the stories spread, the creature ceased to be merely a legend, becoming an omnipresent presence in the imagination of men, a symbol of everything that could not be understood, and for that reason must be feared. But despite all the terror that the Kraken inspired, some claimed that it did not attack everyone. There are reports of sailors who, upon sighting it, did not suffer any aggression. Instead of immediately launching into a devastating attack, the Kraken seemed to observe, its enormous shadows dancing over the calm waters, as if it were more interested in studying the ships than destroying them. Its tentacles, as imposing as mountains, moved slowly, touching the surface of the water with the delicacy of one seeking something beyond mere destruction. The monster seemed to test the sailors, as if waiting for some sign, a response that would reveal its reason for acting. These encounters, more mysterious than terrifying, left the sailors bewildered. Some claimed that the Kraken watched them with an almost human intelligence, as if evaluating their intentions or courage. They wondered if the creature, in its immense wisdom and power, could indeed be a guardian. Perhaps the Kraken was not there to hunt indiscriminately, but to protect something, some secret hidden in the depths of the sea. Could it be a protector of the ocean? An entity that watched over ancient and unknown mysteries that humans should never uncover? Or perhaps the Kraken was simply waiting for the right moment to strike, waiting for its visitors to come close enough to be swallowed by the waters and its claws. The mystery of its true nature persisted, and what had once seemed like a simple legend of destruction turned into an unsettling question. Was the Kraken a blind and savage force, or did it have a deeper, more enigmatic purpose that transcended human understanding? The Kraken still haunts the seas. Not constantly, but whenever the sea seems too peaceful, something disturbs it. The ocean, vast and deep, remains silent for long periods, as if trying to deceive sailors, offering a false tranquility. But somewhere in the depths, something stirs. Older sailors, whose faces are marked by salt and wind, speak of it with reverence. They look at the horizon with tired eyes, as if carrying the weight of an ancient secret, something they have never stopped fearing. They know what the sea is capable of hiding. For these men, the Kraken is not just a distant legend, but a constant presence, a reminder that there are forces beyond human control. The monster does not need to attack all the time. It waits, a shadow in the deep waters. It has never disappeared, never been defeated. The Kraken still waits in the heart of the ocean, in a place where the stars do not touch, and where the currents guard mysteries that man will never understand. The fear it provokes is not only because of its overwhelming strength, but because of the certainty that it never died. It is eternal. The Kraken is not in a hurry. It is patient, like all creatures that were born from the depths of time. It hides in the calm, in moments of apparent serenity, like a specter waiting for the right time to reveal itself. And the sailors, wise from their long voyages, know that at any moment, the sea may tremble again, and the Kraken will rise once more like a primal, immutable, eternal force. They know that it will never die. And as long as they live, the legend of the Kraken will be carried with them, like an invisible chain that always keeps them at the edge of the unknown. And so, a new question arises. If the Kraken is truly dead, or if it is a creation of the waters, what else is hiding in the depths? The ocean, vast and unfathomable, holds secrets that go beyond human understanding. The Kraken, with its immense tentacles and destructive power, is just one of many creatures that could inhabit the darkest regions of the world. But what if it is not the only one? Is there something else, something even older and darker, patiently waiting in the abyssal depths, waiting for the right moment to emerge? The idea that the Kraken, even if it still exists, could be just one of the creatures inhabiting the ocean's floor makes the thought even more terrifying. The sea never reveals all of its secrets, and what it hides in its murky waters could be infinitely more dreadful than any known creature. Something even greater, wilder, and more impossible to imagine may be waiting for the right moment to manifest. A primordial force, perhaps even older than the Kraken, that waits in the shadows of an abyss where light never reaches. But like all great legends, the answer will never come. The sea does not speak. The ocean keeps its truth, and we mere mortals will never be able to comprehend the entirety of what lies beneath its waters. And that, precisely, is what makes the legend so terrifying. The Kraken, or whatever it represents, is not just a threat in itself. It is a reminder that there are mysteries that should not be unraveled. It is proof that the darkness that haunts us knows no bounds, that the abyss is never just an empty void, but a space full of things we should never know. The legend has no answer, and it is this emptiness, this lack of understanding, that paralyzes us with fear. The Kraken continues, like an endless nightmare, an unsolved mystery. Its presence does not fade with time, but persists, a shadow in the waters, a constant reminder of what may emerge at any moment. It watches us, its empty gaze reflected in the unfathomable depths, patiently waiting for the right moment to appear again. The sea, in its vastness, may deceive us with its calmness, but the Kraken is there, in the dark and silent currents, waiting, calculating, ready to emerge when we least expect it. As long as it remains there, in the depths of the ocean, we will never be truly safe. The feeling of unease will never dissipate, for the Kraken represents something beyond human comprehension, a primordial force, a predator that transcends the laws of nature. It is the reminder that the ocean is a place of secrets and unknown horrors, where human control is an illusion. The Kraken may be quiet, but its existence is a constant threat, a silent promise that, at some point, it will rise from the waters, bringing with it a storm of darkness and terror. And so, while the Kraken rests in the depths, we are kept on the edge of a primordial fear, unsure of when or even if it will reveal itself again. It continues to watch us, an invisible but inevitable presence, a force that reminds us there is far more in the world than what our eyes can see.
Thanks for watching the video. If you were shocked by the Kraken story, just imagine what else we have in store. Share it with your friends and take them on this journey of mystery and terror. Don't forget to check out the next video that will appear on the screen. More chilling stories await.